What's up everyone, it's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and this video is going to be something different. So this one is going to be about, I was on a trip to Dublin today, and there's a couple of places I always stop in. There's this place called The Rage, which sells a shitload of pre-owned games for pretty much any different retro console you can think of. They also include, or they have the consoles for sale as well. They do other things like vinyl and all that too. But this one, because of what I'm into, it's all going to focus on just the gaming side of it. So I spent some money in there today, as well as took some heavenly pictures that I actually posted on my Twitter, so you can see them on there, which will be in the description. As well as I went to one or two other hobby stores and I bought some stuff in there too. Now, usually I know most people will have a kind of a swag unboxing video kind of thing, but because I don't have a proper setup for that, what I did was I took a bunch of pictures of each individual thing, and I'm going to splice them into all this gameplay video as I'm talking about them. So like I said, the place is The Rage. I'll have the link to their Facebook in the description below. It's a great store. And what I'll also do is I'll put my Twitter down there so you can see those pictures, because if any of you, I know a lot of you people are into retro gaming, so once you see these pictures, you're going to be like, wow. And that's only a small selection of what they have to offer. It's pretty crazy. Okay, so I'm going to go with the gaming stuff first, and once I get all that out of the way, I'm going to go to the other hobby stuff too. But straight up, we're going to start straight away with a Mega Drive 2. Now, I was a Nintendo guy back in the day, so when I was younger, I grew up with Super Nintendo. My friends grew up, well, it's like everything really, you know, half of your friends have one Super Nintendo, half of your friends have your other, which is a Sega Mega Drive. Now, for those of you who are from North America or possibly some other countries, as you'll notice already, this is what you would call a Genesis. So it's pretty much the same thing. It's just has a different name over here. So this is a Mega Drive 2. I got this as part of a bundle. As you can see, it comes with all the cables. It comes with two controllers, the power cable, the actual console, and the reason why I went with the Mega Drive 2 is this last specific reason. It has the connector that is a composite connector on the output, because the Mega Drive 1 over here, I'm not sure about in the US or anything like that, but over here the Mega Drive 1 only has an RF connector, which is the one that you plug in the old way. It's the pin, and you have to tune in the TV manually, and you get worse picture quality out of it at the end. So that's the specific reason I went for the Mega Drive 2, or the Genesis 2, whatever you want to call it. But we tested out in the store. As you can see, one of the cables is haphazardly tied up. That's my fault, because while he was packing, he tested it in front of me to make sure all the controllers and the console were working. So once he was packing it all up, I said, listen, I'll bundle up that controller, and as you can see, I made a balls up job of it. So that's the first one out of the way. Next up, we'll come to Sonic the Hedgehog. Obligatory, you buy a Mega Drive, you have to have Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, I actually have a copy of Sonic the Hedgehog that I bought a few years ago. I bought it, I can't even remember where I bought it at this point, because it was so old and so random. But I have Sonic 1 and 2 from maybe like 5 years ago, and they were cartridge only, and they were dirt cheap. And I mean, they were dirt cheap. They were like €4, maybe €5 each back in whenever I bought them. So I'd never managed to verify if they actually worked or not, and I just said, fuck it. They had Sonic the Hedgehog, it was boxed, boom, I'm going to buy this because I know they've tested them and it works. So it's great to have the box and the working game in my collection. Moving on, we have Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which needs no introduction. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 it actually features my favorite Sonic character, which is Tails. I don't know, I've always just loved Tails. He's just been my favorite character over Sonic for some reason. No idea why it is. I just gravitate towards him like some people do. And like I mentioned a second ago, I already have a copy of Sonic 2 from back in whenever, and I couldn't verify that it worked because it had been so long. It was just a cartridge and it was dirt cheap, so I replaced it with this, a boxed, definitely working copy, because why not? So that leaves that one. And next we're going to move on to Streets of Rage 2. Now, Streets of Rage 2 is my second favourite Streets of Rage game. Like anyone with a brain, Streets of Rage 1 is obviously being the king. Now, they didn't have Streets of Rage 1 up there at all. They sell games that are just traded in with the cartridge, or they sell games like these ones that are traded in with the box. Now, they didn't have Streets of Rage 1 in either cartridge or box format. They didn't have Streets of Rage 3 for cartridge or box format, because to be honest, I would have bought the whole trilogy if that was the case. It was the same with Sonic. They didn't have Sonic 3 or Sonic and Knuckles that I could find. I would have bought all four of them. But Streets of Rage 2 is the middle one. My friend who was up there with me today, actually, he said this is his least favourite one. I said it would be my second favourite one after Streets of Rage 1. But it boxed edition, manual, all that, it's all in there. It all works. I'm happy with that, so that's pretty fucking cool. So that's all the Sega stuff. So now we'll move on, and I know what everyone's going to see when they think of this is like, Q, you have a crazy retro collection. How the hell do you not have this game? But next up, or how do you not have this in its original format, if you will? Next up, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time on N64. Yes, I know. Now, there's a big reflection off this box because they keep all their boxed games, at least boxed cardboard games like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, as you see here, N64. They keep them in. There's a plastic case around it to keep it well protected and to keep it in a kind of shape, if you will. Now, there is a little tear on the front of the box, as you can see on the right hand side. The one that's in the top of the yellow square, that's actually from the price tab, the price sticker. I just haven't cleaned it off properly because, well, I was just too excited that I didn't really get a chance to. But I've had a look inside. It comes with all the good stuff. It is working. They verified that for me and all, and I'm really, really happy to add this to my collection. They had Majora's Mask up there too, and with the money I'd brought up, I wasn't really in a position to buy Majora's Mask. I do have it on the 3DS, but I would like it on the N64. My N64 already has an expansion pack because I have PDZ and Donkey Kong N64 on there, so I'm not really worried about that when I do get around to getting it. Next up, we'll move to Dreamcast, which is Grandia 2. Now, first off, you American viewers are probably going to notice, like, what the fuck is up with those boxes? Yes, the logo and the color scheme and all was changed over here. It's in Europe, it's something to do with, if I remember right, there was a French perfume company or something that had the orange Dreamcast logo that you're probably familiar with. So they had to change it a little bit over here. It's still called the Dreamcast, as you can plainly see. But the logo is very similar to what you would have over there. But it's just a slight bit different. So Grandia 2, the reason why I bought Grandia 2 is I love the Grandia series. I have Grandia 1 on PS1 for God knows how many years at this point. I bought Grandia 2 back in the day on the PC when the day it first came out. I also bought it on PS2 at a later point because I found a used copy a couple of years later on PS2. And I have Grandia 3 on PS2. It was an imported American copy because it never got released over here in Europe. And I actually got my Grandia 3 copy a couple of months ago in the Rage as well, which was fairly nice. So now with Grandia 2 on the Dreamcast, which is a fantastic game, I now have the trifecta, if you will. I have Grandia 1, I have all three versions of Grandia 2, and Grandia 3. So I'm pretty fucking psyched about that. Next up, well, now that's the end of the gaming, the actual retro gaming stuff anyway. So next up, I'm just going to move on to the hobby side of it that I bought a couple of things for. So these are all from a store called Games Workshop. They make a number of games, but the game they make that I play, or at least I'm getting back into now because I've been out of it for a long time, is called Warhammer 40k, Warhammer 40,000. But it's a tabletop war game, or tabletop miniature war game. You buy all the miniatures, you put them together yourself, you can customize them if you have extra pieces. Some of them come with multiple pieces, so you have a choice. Then you paint them, you go through all the good stuff, and the game is just really fun. So it's a tabletop war game, and I can't really go into much detail on it because I'll be sitting here talking for ages. But straight up, this is something specific to my army. these are the Blood Angels Death Company. They're a special company with special insignia, and they have special abilities, blah blah blah, all this kind of thing. They're specific to my army, which is the Blood Angels, and they come in this 5 miniature box, which I bought to get me, I won't say started, because I do have other stuff as well, but just to add to it. Next up is a generic Terminator squad. These are 5 Space Marine Terminators, one of which is the captain in the middle there. Again, same with the previous ones. They come unassembled, and they also come unpainted. I can customize the layout of them, you know, the weapons they wield, all things like that, depending on my play style. I can put all that and paint them in my army's colors, everything relevant to how I want to do it. Moving on, we have the 40k data cards, specifically for the Blood Angels. These ones are unique for the Blood Angels because they have they're basically quick reference cards for the psychic powers, which are psychic powers that are unique to Blood Angels abilities that, say, none of the other Space Marine chapters or none of the other races get at all. There's also a bunch of other stuff in there. There's Imperial objectives, all that kind of stuff, which make for different rules and different objectives and game types when you're playing. So, you know, it's more than just the Psyker data cards. It comes in handy to expand your gameplay overall in general. Now, next up, this is the Warhammer 40k 7th edition rule set box, if you will. Now, it's essentially a box, but it's actually 3 books, 3 hardback books, and one of which is the rule book, one of which is kind of a lore book, if you will, and the other is like a stat-based book and all that kind of thing. So rather than go into too much detail of it at all, this is the 7th edition, which is the most current edition of the rule book. And I'm just going to flip to another picture here to show you how thick, and you can't really see high quality because I didn't take them out, they're still sealed in there, but you can see how thick those books actually are as a reference. And that wasn't too fun to lug around Dublin all day, I tell you that much. But it's going to be fun. They're all pretty high quality. The rules for Warhammer has always been fairly good, and they can go a bit unbalanced for different armies and unbalanced for different types of units at some point. But their lore and all the other kind of thing that they put in there is all really good and really in depth and high quality. So next up, which is actually almost pretty much going to be the last major one, is this one is my Blood Angels Codex. Now, what a Codex is basically, it's more in-depth lore specific to this chapter, this chapter of Space Marines, which is the Blood Angels. So it gives all the details on all their, say, hierarchy, all their history, everything major that's happened to them, all that kind of shit. It also includes all the specific stats and abilities and things like that for units that are specific to the Blood Angels chapter. So it's a nice high quality hardback book, and I prefer hardback. I always prefer hardback and then softback, and I very, very rarely, if at all, will choose digital. There's many things I'll do digital, but it's not books. Books I like high quality hardback stuff to have in my hand. But that covers pretty much all of the stuff that would be relevant to specific a Blood Angel player. Now, I also bought 1 or 2, well, 3 specifically small things that I'm not going to go put them into the video, because one of them was just a tape measure, because Warhammer is played in inches. So I, rather than find the tape measures that are God knows where in this fucking house, but rather than do that, I keep one just wherever I keep my Warhammer, just all to myself. So there's no point in putting that in a video. It's a fucking tape measure. It's standard shit. There's also some glue, blah blah blah. It's glue. It's for putting the models together. It's sticky. It sticks stuff. That's it. And the last thing I bought, as well, as you can hear me rustling around, back in the day I used to collect, well, myself and some friends, we used to play the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, the actual game of it, like the physical card edition game of it. Now, it's been, 10 years, maybe even like 8 to 10 years since we all stopped playing that. Now, because of that, we were in another store today, another comic book store, and I just decided, I saw them on a counter. There was all kinds of stuff. There was Magic the Gathering, there's Yu-Gi-Oh, there was all sorts of shit. Pokemon was there too. I should have actually bought some of the Pokemon cards because it's been way too long as well. But what I did was I bought one single pack of the Secrets of Eternity English edition, first edition booster pack, just because I wanted to see how much it's changed and how far everything has come in this entire time. So I'm going to leave this video here anyway. Again, this was a bit of a different type of swag video because I do not have a proper setup, at least one that I'm happy with. I mean, if you've seen my Zelda and Monster Hunter 3DS unboxing, it wasn't planned, and because of that, I don't have a real setup for it, so it's just not worth it. Anyway, quick shout out once again to The Rage for being just a fucking badass shop with cool ass products. Thanks to the guy who was working in there that helped me find pretty much the best deal for what I actually wanted. I went in knowing in around what I wanted, and he helped me find everything, the best deal, the best offer that they had. He also let me take a couple of pictures of the wall of some of their stuff for Twitter, which, like I said, I'll have my Twitter down below, and you can find that in there. I'll have the Rage's Facebook in there too, if you want to look at some of the cool posts and cool stuff that they put up all the time. Even if you don't live in Ireland, you can obviously follow it and appreciate it. It's pretty cool regardless. So let me know in the comment section below about anything that I bought today, or anything that is relevant at all to you in any way. I want to hear it all. That's why I'm here. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter because that's definitely becoming more active, because I've actually been, since it's set up, I've been working on it properly, so it's getting better. And that's pretty much everything. So once again, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing and liking the video, thanks for leaving a comment, and I will see you all in the next videos on my channel.